there is. I'm a graduate of Enugu State University. I studied computer science and engineering.
Are there Esutites here?
Yeah.
Greatest Esutites?
Come on. So I am a daughter of Enugu, and for the past 25 years, I've worked in some amazing technology companies. I've worked in Microsoft, I've worked in Cisco, I've worked in Nokia. You can start clapping. I've worked in Visa, I've worked in Google, I've worked in Amazon Web Services. And now what I do is we help founders build minimum viable products. We build the tech that is necessary for them to be able to go into market.
Thank you so much. This is a round of applause.
No, we don't claim Cynthia.
Oh, okay, all right.
Wow.
Yeah. No, Cynthia should pay to be on the panel.
All right, okay, so before we start fighting, let's get deep into the conversation. So, to set background, I want to get your thoughts, and Napa, while we're still on you, the $30 billion IGR, it's a very bold and laudable objective by the executive governor in Enugu. And there are multiple ways to achieve this, but what we want to explore currently is how strategic tech do that. So, briefly, from each of you, just 30 seconds to 1 minute, give an overview of your thoughts around how strategic tech investments can drive IGR growth, particularly in the Southeast.
Yeah, but can we just take a minute to appreciate what our governor is doing in the state?
Please.
Honestly.
A working governor.
A working governor, and that's why this topic is so exciting to me. I remember when we grew up in different countries, and there was a comment my father made. I think all of us have heard this quote before. They say if you go to a place, a market, or a country, or a city, and you do not see an Igbo man there, know that there's no business in that area, right? So when we're talking about using tech investment for a target of $30 billion, all I'm thinking of, we can use technology to be able to automate some of that. So the trader that is in Onitsha, that is trading with China, pulling in a couple tens of millions every year, and then we just help with something as small and simple as inventory management, so he has visibility. So the fact that we have a governor and a commissioner that is very passionate about providing the basic level, which is policy, and that's the support we need. And like you said, multifaceted. There are many things we can talk about. But what is most exciting about the tech part is that we actually may not even need to build anything in quotes new. We just need to be able to support the trade and the hustle of the Igbo man with technology.
Oh, thank you so much. To start with that, so enablement is the point of conversation now. Justina, thoughts?
So for me, the first thing that comes to mind is legacy. So think about and it's closely linked to what Napa here has said, but think about the multiple businesses that over the years we used to hear about that are no more, because businesses were for dads, right? And the cool kids would get out of school and they don't want to be associated with these businesses, right? And these are businesses that provided real value in society, but they weren't properly institutionalized, they weren't set up for scaling, and so there was no attractiveness. So I see a future where businesses that are family owned, I'm a product of a family business myself, would have the platform for legacy. I see a platform where there'll be more digitization of SMEs and local businesses, and then businesses can start to operate beyond the physical geographical barriers that currently divide us as a state, right? Because if you look at the market size, any business that operates only within its market size and doesn't scale would not be able to break even in numbers. I hope my thesis will agree with me. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Justina.
Yeah. So just layering on what Napa and Justina have said, when we think about legacy business, when we think about the Igbo traders, the key part is each and every one of you here coming up with a startup idea and actually following through with it. That's actually how we gain that $30 billion, right? Because if you look at Money Point and what it has done, it actually gave birth to a lot of POS businesses. I remember 5 years ago, we can never even think of, you have to stay on a queue just to get money. But because of what Money Point, a startup, right, produced such impact across Nigeria. And then if you now take another example like Kobo 360, which is sort of powering an already existing industry, which is the trucking space, right? Logistics and trucking space, and then using technology to be able to power that activity. So imagine what structure we can design as a state to ensure that we support startups from end to end. We build a sustainable system to say that if an individual has an idea today, there's a place he knows that he can go to, or she knows that she can go to move that from 0 to 100 customers, from 100 customers to 100,000 customers, and so on and so forth. That's a very big part of the work.
Thank you very much. Please, a round of applause for that. So what I'm hearing, and I think I agree with you, is that
So one of the key things that I noticed when I was in the UK, right, was how in Nigeria, if you do like a bank transaction, transfer, immediately you get an alert. But in the UK, there is no alert. You have to wait till you get a letter in your POX box, right? That's your mailbox, physical mailbox. And then there was this guy a few years after that came up with Monzo. And Monzo was solving that problem of instant credit alert. So it can be as simple as that. And it could be as simple as solving a problem within your compound. Say within your compound, you guys are trying to contribute every month just to pay lights. That's a problem. That's a small problem that a lot of you may have ignored. And I think that's one of the things I've said to young people, is that business opportunities are literally all around you. You've just not paid attention to it. There are needs that have popped up from casual conversations between you and your friend that you guys have ignored and said, oh. But you know that by focusing on that simple problem of how can we get all of us in our apartment to contribute towards lights every month, because we have just 1 meter. Okay, how many apartments like this do we have in Enugu? Okay, there are about 100 of them. Okay, what if I could do this really well, maybe even use Excel sheets, and then go on to the next 2 apartments, 3 apartments, 100 apartments, all using Excel sheets, and you're making real money. That's how you build a startup. You don't have to wait till you get an app. And that's the secret thing about a successful startup, a successful founder: resilience. Like the ability to just keep moving from one stage to another, no matter how simple. Like getting that next extra 1 customer, getting that next extra 2 customers. That's the key. Because challenges will come. I remember when, because I'm also a startup founder, right? I built the Aboki Africa. There were multiple times in our journey of 10 years where I actually wanted to shut down. I actually wanted to close and tell everybody to go home, and it's not like I had anything on the side that could support what I was doing at that time. But what kept me going was the impact, because I'm solving problems for real people. There are real people that are telling me, please don't shut down. If you shut down, my family will not be able to eat again. If you shut down, I won't be able to have access to it. That's how you know you're building something sustainable. And that's why the key thing there is solve a real problem. Not a problem you think you have, but a problem that many people can relate with. And that's the key to success for any startup that you see out there. They started with one major problem.
Interesting. Very different about her. So much so that the company had to retain her and place her in their software execution arm. And the biggest thing about it was her personality. See, if you're a founder here, my love, you have to be likable. People must like you. Your investors must like you. Your team members must like you. It's not okay to say this is how you are, you're not good at communicating. It presents an opportunity for you to develop yourself. So what am I saying? Soft skills, right? Your people management skills, very critical. I remember there were times that, it was difficult for that particular lady because of some family obligations that she had. I think she had a sick child and she had to be off or something. The way that she went about communicating her absence, how she managed that absence, really professional. We've had a lot here in the last 2 days, but while the technical content is important and all the conversations about investment, as a person, there's a character development that is required to excel, especially in this climate that we are, where there are so many competing ideas. So closely marked with your technical capabilities and the viability of your product will be soft skills. Be like Leslie. Thank you.
Thank you so much. This is a round of applause for Sister. I know you're a revenue mechanic, and I believe that your revenue mechanism is sector agnostic, because I've seen you have conversations with fashion designers to tell them how they can drive revenue. So in this conversation around this, What is the role for non-tech?
Okay, so should I define revenue mechanics?
Yes, please.
Maybe
Yes.
it will help. Yeah, so ideally, if you're a business, no matter how small, if it's one person, 5 people, 100, 10,000, you should be generating revenue, money, ego, kudi, cheddar, cheese.
Paper.
Yes, you should be making money, right? And the way you make money, it should be repeatable. It should be almost like an engine, okay? So that means you are generating leads. And leads are just people that you've identified as your ideal customers that have shown interest in your product or your service. And you have to know how you make those leads into customers, how you retain them. This very simple view of what your sales engine is like. Now, some of you don't understand why some months you make money, some months you don't make money. Some of you also don't understand why customers that are interested don't eventually buy. This is what revenue mechanics is. We go into the engine of your sales process and we fix it for you. Now, when we think of non-tech companies and small businesses, sometimes you feel if you're not a non-tech, if you're a non-tech startup or business, you sometimes feel that a lot of support isn't given to you because you don't have technology that can 10x your revenue or 20x your sales. I want to flip it and say some of the tech startups don't go and partner with the non-tech startups. And I'll give you an example. I mean, everybody talks about Aba Market, right? Right? How amazing the fashion is. They're exporting to London, Macy's. They will come and say, when you're walking in the market, yellow, I have your size, and all of that. They're producing amazing products. I can't tell you the number of companies that have come and say, we're going to digitize Aba Market. We're going to put Aba Market in an app. Please, how many of you have bought consistently from Aba, if you buy from Aba, and I hope you do, using an app? How many of you?
Show of hands.
Show of hands. No, sincerely, how many of you? Not many, right? You know, the problem is they did not go and speak to the fashion designers, the non-tech founders that understand the distribution models, that understand the pricing models, that understand the customers, understand how to build the product. So I actually feel non-tech companies, organizations, startups are crucial to us being able to leverage this opportunity because they're the ones that understand the marketing ways the tech founders don't. So there was a fashion company we consulted for and a startup, they closed up. They started saying they wanted to deliver across Nigeria. Anybody that's a fashion designer here knows logistics is a challenge. But the tech company didn't know. What were they talking about? APIs, features. You know, that's how they like to talk when they're building the app. You don't understand, we're putting these features in. And they're saying, have you thought of logistics? Say, don't worry, we have an API for that. From API, they started delivering in Nigeria. They now said, no, Nigeria is too big. Let's deliver in the Southwest. Then they said Southwest is too big. Let's deliver in Lagos. Then they said Lagos is too big. Let's deliver in Lekki. I told the founder, let them just be picking up from your house. That's the answer. And it's because they did not have that market knowledge, research. People that have been in that business, that are non-tech, are your best allies in being able to build that tech product that actually delivers value.
Please, a round of applause for that. So the first solution is not tech, it's not app.
See, there's a fintech that found product market fit, which is just you have found the product that satisfies your customer using WhatsApp. A fintech. They got funding on WhatsApp. And that's why I really like what Cynthia said. That happened now. Yeah.
Thank you so much. But still on you, and this is for me like very important context because you've traveled the world, you've moved around, and the conversation here is hinged around Southeast. And at the end of the day, the Southeast is the collection of the people in the Southeast. So what's unique features? Because the first thing you answered about, your father saying, if you don't go here, and I know you traveled a lot as a kid and you travel a lot now. So what is the unique thing or unique behavioral traits about the people like in the Igbo in the Southeast that make us unique and gives us a chance at 30 billion?
See, please, can you clap if you're an Igbo
This
person?
is
Are you not proud to be Igbo? And honestly, like, I am so proud to be an Igbo girl. Because you know us Igbo people, we are tenacious. We don't take no. Yes, sir. We are resilient. You can chase us here, chase us there. We are going to find our land. Yeah? If there is a stone, an Igbo person will bring money out of it and they will ask you, what currency do you want the money in? We are hustlers, right? And God has blessed us with the ability to go into places and effect change. You rarely see an Igbo person that settles in China, in Gambia, that does not create community, does not add value to the community. But as Igbo people, we need to be true to ourselves. We have to start building systems, processes. We need to start using tools. And most importantly, we need to start bringing money back home. I can't tell you how proud I am that most of the people that are on this stage will be Igbo. Think of it. We need to start bringing that money back, and we have to stop thinking of leaving. A lot of my friends at my age say their biggest regret is that when they started their business, they did not start it in the East, that they went outside. So we are fantastic people, we are amazing, we are handsome, we are beautiful, we are intelligent, we hustle. But guys, we need to upgrade. We need to upgrade. We need to start building businesses that last 100 years, 200 years. We need to educate ourselves on how to build the right systems in a business that allows it to scale. There's a certain stage in your business, you cannot be the only one approving things. I wanted to say somebody say Tofiakwa, but then I remembered I am Funes, so let me just manage it.
Let me say Tofiakwa.
Oh, do you get? We need to start building those kind of businesses. So I'm really excited about what His Excellency is doing, like sincerely and truly, because he's bringing that excellence to Enugu for us. He's bringing those systems and processes that we can learn from. So yeah, even though we are amazing, I think we all acknowledge that it's time for us to upgrade.
Thank you so much. I agree with you. Thank you. So Justina, on the conversation of upgrading, and because talent is your forte, right? In this unique position that we are in the Southeast, how do we go about rapidly scaling talent locally in the Southeast? Because we are resilient, we're beautiful, we're handsome, like Papa has said, and we're in the Igbo. How do we go around scaling the talent locally so that it's not just resilience, it's not resilience and something. It's not just academics, because Enugu has the highest tertiary concentration of tertiary institutions, but academia and tech, for instance. So, what is the model you think we should adopt for that?
First of all, I applaud the government for the initiative they are already taking on this lane, Enugu Smart Schools. It was funny, I didn't even know about it. It was my brother in the States who called my attention to it, and he said, "Oh, Justina, I'm really excited about Enugu now." I'm like, tell me, because I grew up in the north, in Jos, but I made sure during my time in Estate, I heard about Miyamata. And that particular brother of mine, I ensured that he came back home to Ojiegu, to school. And so he's been tethered to everything happening back home, although he doesn't live here. And when he said it, I went online and I saw all of the work, and I was really excited. So, I mean, the very first thing we need to do is to grab them young. If the digital world is native to you, it's different than when it's being forced down your throat. And I feel like those kids now, they are more, it's more embedded in them. I don't know what it is, whether it's a formula. But if you give a kid a cell phone in 2 days, they know what to touch and where everything is. They will change your password, I promise you. That has been my experience with my own children. And so imagine a world where every child is given the opportunity to interact with digital tools. It starts with the government curriculum. It starts with policy. IT curriculum cannot be labeling mouses and CPUs anymore, or asking what a flash drive is. My daughter will not interact with a diskette. Why is she defining it in her ICT exam? So this is a call on the government. We need an overhaul from the policy level, from the curriculum level. All of the education board needs to stand in line. Besides this, where we're growing the pipeline, because pipelines take time to crystallize, There needs to be widespread digital literacy. It can be adapted to who we are. It can be adapted in our local languages. If grandma can use WhatsApp and forward you 100 unsolicited messages, she can be onboarded to basic digital tools, right? A lot of SMEs count themselves out of digital innovation, for example. And I always say to them, because I work with women groups a lot, you are an e-commerce practitioner, you're not an Instagram seller. Forget that you're dancing with your wig. You snapped a product and you put it online. Someone went to your DM and asked, you gave them a price. They paid without talking to you, sent proof, sent an address. You gave it an Okada man. Is that not e-commerce?
It's e-commerce.
Simple. And so we need to now mainstream that sort of communication, right? On digitizing processes that for businesses that serve us every day. On digitizing public tools. If you go to Kenya, M-Pesa is operated by every market woman using her basic feature phone. She would dial a USSD code and she's able to transfer or receive money from her son. People like Ziamo are doing transformational work in this area towards the globe as well. We're using, again, because you have to meet people where they are. If you think about digital literacy, and I talk about your grandma, you might think it's not for her because she can't power a laptop. No, she has a simple feature phone. Simple feature phones are doing amazing things these days because you have to meet people where they are and then graduate them along the spectrum. Simple feature phones are telling farmers in the north whether it will rain that day or not, whether there's a security threat out there or not. Simple feature phones are training primary school teachers on better literacy outcomes. They will press 1 and listen to the lesson. They would press 2, answer a few questions using number prompts. In the end, data is gathered. What am I saying? Meet people exactly where they are. Then we have hubs. I applaud people like Genesis and all the other hubs that we have here. I encourage more hubs because honestly, people need to be incubated. A lot of young people are very unsure of who they are, right? And I see that a lot when I interact with them. I had a mentorship session with a young lady this morning, and I was asking her how her experience was here yesterday. She said, well, it was fine, just when she's around these people like me, she doesn't know what to say. I said, that's the thing, we don't want you to say anything. We know that you're young and you're figuring it out, right? That's why we're here to guide you. So it's important to see more hubs that are targeted at growing the talent space, not just for products. Yes, products are important, but talent-specific hubs. Because guess what? These talent-specific hubs are the ones that will now build out your products. They are the ones that will now support the existing products and businesses that are here so that the flying wheel can continue. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Cynthia, I have a penultimate question to you and then one final question for everybody. Tech investments, strategic tech investments. We were having this conversation just before we came in, and for these tech investments to happen, they have to be invested in startups that can return that investment. Now, a lot of startups in the Southeast are still in their nascent stages and require a lot of support. So, what type of support is needed for us to achieve critical mass so that these investments now are now channeled into the right places?
So earlier on, Eket spoke about the enablers, right? I'm going to talk about that pretty soon. But I want to focus on the education part of it, because that's a very big part. 2 young ladies in the last batch of SDC joined SDC on the individual track. So individual track is, I think I want to be a startup founder, but I'm not ready to take the risk. And I really don't have an idea right now. But I want to see what it's like to actually start a company from scratch. So that was the track they came on. So 2 of them, we matched them into a team and we said, first thing is find a problem. Now earlier on I was saying, identify problems around you. But I think I want to put this disclaimer. The problem you see the first time is not necessarily the real deep-rooted problem. And so your goal as a founder is, think of a problem as that torchlight through a tunnel, right? You have no idea what's at the end, but you have that torchlight with you, and you're supposed to keep going until you find the root cause. Do you understand? Did you get that? So when you identify a problem in your local context, you have to find the why. So somebody says, I give this illustration, right? Somebody walks into the room. Let's say you're working at an office. You walk into the room and you see that the tap is broken, right? And then what do? You said, okay, why is the tap broken? And the person says, because this person was angry and the person broke the tap. If you stay there and say, oh, that's the problem, we need people to stop getting angry, you have actually not found the root cause. It's just a symptom, right? So the next thing you do is, why did he break the tap? So you ask why, and then he says, because HR spoke to him in a bad way. That's still not the root cause. So you go deeper and ask why. It's because he did not perform well. Why? So that's how you find your way through the tunnel. The power of leveraging that question, why, takes you deeper and deeper, and then you find the root cause, and that's what you now solve for. What you had at that first hand is just a light tunnel. Now, this thing I just explained is education. Many individuals, many excited startup founders are going around in circles simply because of lack of education. One of the organizations I work with is MasterCard, and they have this program where they give startup founders through their alumni program $5,000, right? So if you're applying to the program, you know that you're going to get $5,000. So the people I was speaking with, they're already planning how to use the $5,000. So this particular young man, Abdul, in Ghana, he lives in a family where everybody around his community are farmers. And he got really, really excited and drawn to the problems that his mother and other women in that community have when it comes to farming. So he wanted to solve the problem, which is these women would have to farm rice, but they need to thresh the rice so that the rice, the real rice grain, can come out. But it's a long process, it's very tedious. So his idea was, how do I make equipment available to these women, right? Very simple. But he was planning to use $3,000 out of that $5,000 to buy an equipment that he can give to these women to rent and use. Sounds like a good idea, right? Right?
Yes.
However, by the time we were done with our advisory session, I showed him 5 other ways he could solve that same problem with #0, and he was shocked.
We're not clapping for that.
Or in that case, Ghana cities, right? He was shocked. And it's simply education. Most times, the reason why you're always in the dark and you're confused is because of light. I also know what it means to be in the dark as a startup founder, and that's why I had to get a board together where I meet and say, okay, I am right here at this stage, how do I move to the next stage? These are the challenges I'm facing, and they show me what to do. Education is a key part. Now, if you connect it to the point you raised about the investment, you see, I count it a privilege, if I'm being honest, not boastful. I count it a privilege that I had the opportunity of schooling at Imperial College London Business School in Masters in Entrepreneurship, Innovation and Management. And this is what I saw. The reason why we have more startups coming out of those universities is because of the quality of education that they're getting. So a big problem we need to solve for is those enablers that are responsible for providing that startup education. What's the quality of education that they have? What's the quality of experience that they have? That is what we should prioritize. How do we get more resource persons into the room? I was working on a program with CC Hub, and we've been doing this program for 3 years, supporting the startups as a startup advisor. And the big issue that they shared with me is that it's hard for us to get mentors. It's hard for us to get resourceful and impactful mentors in these founders because they have unique challenges that are very, very contextual, and they need people that can guide them through those rudimentaries. That's the big part. And if you are thinking about the $30 billion is hinged on the quality of businesses, is hinged on the quality of founders, and is really hinged on the quality of startup education that the enablers are giving.
Thank you so much. The founder of SDC Startup School, it does make sense. Okay, ladies, this has been very, very fascinating. Before we take 2 questions, I want us to wrap 1 minute each. And I'll ask you different questions. Starting with you, Cynthia. You've supported startup founders almost all your life. If we're going to liken a perfect startup founder to a food combination, to a food combo, what food combo and why?
I'm hearing Onubu at the back.
Onubu.
I would. This is a hard question, but let's figure it out. So, if I was to look at what makes a really good founder, right? The ability to be resilient, ability to solve problems really quickly, and a big part is having like multiple skills at the very, very early stage because you're going to be doing a lot of work. So I would say fisherman soup. Let me explain. Fisherman soup is very expensive, but there's a reason why it's expensive because there's a lot of things inside.
True.
You will see crab, you will see snail, you will see all manner of automobils, you know what I'm saying? Obstacles and obstructions. So that's why I'll give you that because there's a lot of skills that you need to acquire very quickly for you to be very attractive to investment, to customers, and even to your staff. You will become someone that has to share a vision, that has to share a dream. You have to be great with systems, processes, just like Napa said. There's a lot of things you have to do.
So what I'm hearing?
Yes.
Strive to be fisherman soup. Amen?
Yes.
Everybody here who strives to be fisherman soup. Thank you so much. Justina, you mentioned your AI conference that's coming up for kids. And for me, it's a very important conversation. Interestingly, you mentioned it, and I never saw the need for that, and this is fascinating. But to take this away in 1 minute, what is the weirdest usage of AI that you've seen in existence as an AI connoisseur that you are?
I mean, the world of generative AI is crazy. There's literally nothing that you cannot ask it to do. But for me, it would be, God bless the Queen. It would be the Queen of England dancing to Snoop Dogg's rap and smoking pot. Like, I just lost it for that because that's not possible, Schneider. It's never happening. But yeah, it was so funny. And then she was dressed in like her usual very formal regalia. But there she was vibing to Snoop and Snooze. I'm like, this AI thing is crazy. Wow. But yes, and big announcement, the Children AI Summit is also coming to Enugu later on this year.
Please clap for that.
Let's look out for that. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Justina. Queen Eliza, do it in the car with Snoop Dogg.
I mean, yeah.
Now, final for you. I've listened to you speak a lot of times. I've heard very fascinating stories from the investor side. I remember when you said there was an investor that told his startup founder, how can I get 30x in one year? With his full chest. And he was like this, thank God for some warriors that stopped him immediately. But now, on the founder side, what's the most interesting, weird founder story that you found in all your experience?
Okay, so a lot of stories, not all my experience, but this one happened very recently, okay? So we were consulting for a food startup. They provide a special kind of meal to enterprise customers, there's a way they package their food. Stay with me in this story. And revenue wasn't growing like they wanted. They had just received some investment, so they're powered by technology. And they were building a new feature in their app, and they asked us to help them build it. And they said they wanted technology that would allow the customers to taste the food through the app. Yes. No, but we're laughing today. This video, 5 years from now, the technology might exist with AI. Who knows? There'll probably be a chip in someone's brain.
You only have to
coordinate that, or else, I don't know. Yeah. Or there'll be a robot that goes with, maybe it can appear out of your, we don't know.
To spell food.
Well, we'll see. No, let's problem solve this actually.
Fascinating. Once again, a round of applause for the amazing panel that we have. We're almost out of time. I'm able to take 2 questions from the audience. 2 questions. Okay, I have 1 person here. And okay, let's gender equalize it. And 1 person here, right? So, can you give her? Please take it to her so she can ask them.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon.
My name is Doris, and I want to ask a question.
Doris, what do you do? Name and what you do.
Right now, nothing, just business. Do I have ideas that I've not really put out?
You're talking to the right people.
Okay. Based on Napa, right? Based on what you said, I have an idea that I think app would help push it. Do you understand? And you said you mustn't have an app to, to push out your ideas. Do you understand? And I also feel that now technology and what people are into right now is, sorry, I'm sorry, okay.
Take your time, take your time, take your time.
So I actually think that what people are into now is more of what they do online. And if you are not able to create that app, like the very idea I have in my head, I don't know how to go about it or how to start. And I feel people are into apps now more. So if I don't create an app to be able to push it out, then what do I do? How do I go about it?
Right. I think there's one other person. Yes, behind you. Behind you.
Good day, everyone.
Good day.
I'm a cybersecurity intern. Concerning the AI sensitization happening in secondary schools or primary schools you mentioned, I want to know what kind of limitations do you have when you're guiding children through AI? Because I recently had a project where I was trying to incubate youth and the 200 level students for cybersecurity in Futo. And I was fascinated to the extent at which they can innovate very specialized prompts for cybersecurity attacks. And at that point, I knew the kind of policies and regulations we have in Nigeria concerning ethical hacking. And I was speechless because I couldn't see anything. I couldn't tell them, oh, you can't do this. I couldn't tell them, oh, don't do this, don't do that. So I want to know what kind of policy can you set when guiding kids through AI?
A round of applause for us.
If you want to add something, Cynthia. So the first thing, Doris, thank you for asking that question. It's a question a lot of people have when they have an idea. I want to believe, number one, you want to solve a problem for someone, not that you want to build an app. So let's move app and web, the technology part, away for a minute. And let us look at the person you are solving the problem for. Let's understand the problem. What are the issues they are having? What are the parts of the problem that are most difficult for them to solve? And think through what you can put in place to solve just a little bit of the problem. It may not be the whole problem. I would encourage you to sit down with somebody that has the problem and actually sketch it out. So let's take, for example, the people that are in the market that want to be able to sell their products across cross-border. If you don't understand the problem, you will think what you're solving for is to take the product and help them ship it. But maybe the problem is that they just don't know how to convert the currency. So sit down with the person you're solving for to really understand. And remember, the person you're solving the problem for is the person that will tell you what you will build. Okay? Because what if the people you're building for do not use apps? Because you used a very general statement. It makes me a bit uncomfortable. Everybody is online, everybody is using apps. Not real. That's not true. There are some problems you solve that just having something as simple as a USSD code will be able to solve that problem. Okay? So let's get 2 to 3 people that have the problem. I'm assuming you identified it as a challenge, right, Doris? Many people have it. Let's get a few of them and you interview them. You can do surveys, you can ask them how to solve it. Document what you have learned. The second thing is do some research. Has anybody tried to solve this problem before? How did they go about it? Did they fail? Is there anything that already exists? Because we may find that the people just don't know it exists. And once you have that data, sketch out a prototype. I encourage you to look for a video on YouTube. It's called Working Backwards by Amazon. It's a methodology. It's a framework. It's a great framework to think through a product or a solution to a problem. The second thing I would encourage you to look at is first principles. Also a fantastic framework that can help you break the problem down to the smallest unit. Because I'm very concerned that you will build an app that has 159 features. Doris, you will not build an app with so many features. You promised me that. You promised me that. Promise. First principles, okay? And then another thing I will encourage you to do, sign up for Cynthia's startup school, SDC. It's a really great school because it helps you refine your idea and refine your thought process, and you can get support. And if you can, find a mentor, somebody that has gone ahead of you, and just listen to how they solve the problem. But can you...
An example, but I'll just give a simple example, right? What parts, just like Napa said, right? What part of the process needs to be optimized with technology so that you can scale to more customers? It's an already existing business. You're doing 500 customers, right? How do we get to 1,500 customers? To get to 1,500 customers, we need our process to be faster. We need customer service to respond timely. Are there AI agents that you can use for free to do that? There are tools like Airtable, Softar, AppSheet, Google AppSheet, where you can do a very simple framework that allows you to automate notifications, right? Those are simple examples of solving that core problem that she has told you to identify, right? And then building a simple technology around it. Your goal is to just keep your business alive. You're not comparing yourself with any other person. Keep solving that particular person's problem at a larger scale, right? And then finally, just like Napa said, for any of you here that are still in the idea stage, or maybe people started, you build the app, but you're frustrated, it's all right. There's hope for you. There's hope for you, all right? So please take your notepad and write this address down. www.
Have you written that? www.
.stcs for school, D for dog, C for cat, STC, then startup school, startupschool.com. It's free. Please put your hands together. It's not a lot.
It's free. It's free.
It's free. But it requires you to diligently complete the lectures. And it's a framework, it's a methodology that is being used across the world, and it's working. Yeah. Save yourself the stress of wasting money and time and stressing your parents by learning how to build right.
Let's clap for them. Napa, Cynthia, can Doris meet you after stage just to get specific?
Yeah, no, Doris, you can. But this kind of thing excites us. Because now I want to know the problem, right? There's a statistic that says out of 10 startups, 9 or 8 fail, okay? But the truth is the ones that succeed pivot 2 to 3 times. So you have to remember this, that the fact you've identified the problem, it might not be the root. The fact you've identified the problem, you may not be able to generate revenue from it. We must have a sight to revenue from day one. And many people don't agree with me on this. I agree with me, and that's enough for me. Okay? So, you have to make sure you understand that this is a journey, and you are building with, not for, your customers. You do not build and they will come. No, you build with them because you're solving a problem for them. So just have that mindset. So there's the founder's mindset. There are many YouTube videos on it. Just research it so you prepare yourself for the journey ahead.
Yeah, please
that's why the school comes in, okay? Go to school.
Yes, go to school. And we're going to send resources. Everything that Napa has said is going to be on YouTube. We're going to get these links and do. Just finally, in 1 minute, please. In 1 minute.
1 minute.
Yes, please.
Let me try. Okay, that's a really important question because sometimes AI is like being between the devil and the deep blue sea. And we also want to safeguard children. We don't want to expose them unduly. So what we've done is to plug into, you see, and one thing that hasn't come out of this stage in all of our conversation is partnerships. Everybody say partnerships. Partnerships. You go further when you collaborate. So we looked and we found that there is currently no local language chatbot for kids anywhere in this world, right? We're working on one. Are we doing it alone? No. We're doing it in collaboration with organizations like Google, who already have a parent link. My daughter's Gmail account is floated on my husband's. Anytime she logs in, he knows. Whatever she's doing online, he can see it. So it is not in isolation of care, of safety, because cybersecurity ramifications have become even more exacerbated with AI, right? So for the things that we're doing, our learning community have curated content. We don't have kids free-flowing on the web. We have a great partnership conversation ongoing with Samsung as well. Samsung parenting control is really tight. If you're on the parenting login interface, you can't even browse if your mom did not let you. You can't take a picture your mom did not let you. You will work with the apps that are pre-approved by us to help you learn better, because we look at the life cycle of a child. What does a child do when they wake up? They learn, they go to school. There are tools out there that are helping kids get better educated. Kids that are struggling with reading, especially these kids that have dyslexia. There are tools out there that support their reading endeavors. There are personal tools that are free. They're out there, but parents just don't know it. To support your kid after school hours, right? There are tools that help them create things. So if they're interested in being technical, there are loads of no-code platforms, right, that children can engage and create amazing things. If they're interested in humanities or arts and expressions, loads of tools as well. So we have concentrated our research, right, around like the live events of children and what they're interested in. These are aggregated on safe devices for them. We are also speaking to bank for device financing opportunities for parents, so that it's the pre-approved devices that are in the hands of these kids with the right setting that safeguards them. There are guardrails around it, so they're not just free-flowing in the AI world and it becomes something else. Does that answer your question?
Thank you. Please, a round of applause for my amazing speakers. Thank you so much, Cynthia. Thank you so much, Justina. Please give it up for them. I will take a picture. They're careful.
Organization that has been championing the ecosystem for the last 10 years. I think this is important because of the context of the question, right? And then with Rebel Seed Capital, we are basically trying to find and fund founders in cities we consider secondary cities, and which are those cities that the regular VCs would usually not want to go to, right? So what are some of the challenges that we faced over the years and how did we overcome them? So I think the first set of challenge was lack of understanding and awareness, right? Not that there were there were talents, there were people doing stuff, and like Otto said earlier, people were doing stuff in isolation, right? And that in itself was a challenge. People trying to do stuff in isolation. I give you a practical example. When you look at Enugu, I'm sure a lot of people look at Enugu and they look at Enugu as a market, as a main market for to trend. Personal, we want to trend. And then we promote the negativities and they read these things, and when some of us ask them to come, they say, no, I can't come, they will kill me there. Do you understand what I'm saying? Hello? And then tomorrow you say there are no investors. The investors are around, but you're asking them not to come because you've chosen not to promote the positives. I ask you a question. How many of you sitting down here today, for instance, have done a tweet, sent out a message about what's happening in Enugu, about ETF? I mean, how many of you have done that, for instance? ETF should be, we know. ETF should be trending as we speak. But is ETF trending on Twitter, given the number of people we have here today? I'm asking. So this is the right time to have trending right now. Do you understand what I'm saying? But we will not do that. So I want to think that there are lots of people here who will think differently and will act differently. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Uche. Please can we give a round of applause for him. Please, if you are in this hall and you don't have a notepad,
I want to ask, how can students manage to navigate the complexities of undergraduate life while taking major steps in their entrepreneurship journey?
All right. Great Nigerian students. Okay, so I believe this will be a question that will be going through a lot of people's mind. Like, I'm in school, how do I start? So the first thing I always tell students is, you can never fail as a student. Do you know something very striking? No matter what you do as a student, what would they say? This person is trying. Even as a student is doing this. You will not value that statement till you leave the school. The moment you leave your school, nobody cares whether you are trying or not. All they care about is whether you are succeeding or not. It is only while you are in school that people care if you try. While you are a student, trying is good enough. In fact, try as much as you can and fail as much as you can. So I think she has talked about my personal story. We started while we were in UNN. Great lions and lionesses. Okay, we have some here. So it started while we were in UNN. And for us, it was a personal notion where we thought of. We always have the notion that anything you are trying to do, whether as students or in business, start by solving problems around you. Right? Don't go and think of Mark Zuckerberg or Elon Musk. Elon Musk wants to go to Mars, but we are still frying Gary with hand in Nigeria. You understand? So don't go and be thinking of such problems while you have a problem here in Nigeria. I always give you this scenario. I say, your mom trained you throughout primary school, secondary school, and university by frying Gary. And you went to school, you studied something, but you could not think of a way out which we should stop frying Gary with hand. You know, we think of tech and we always think of AI, and we don't know that such tech is what will change our society. So we always have this notion where we think of, let us start solving problems around our community first. And if you're in UNN, say 2015, 2016, 2017, you discover that power was a serious issue. There was no power around. And so we thought, okay, how do we bring solar into the school? But we sort of, even if we want to bring solar, we had this notion that it's not just bringing the power, but how do we maximize the whole value chain? So it's not just going to China importing solar panels and batteries and inverters. How do we make it? We were 5 co-founders in my business, 3 of us were classmates. And the 5 of us were university mates. And we met while in university. Because some of us that decided to start earlier on, when we landed in police station like 2 times for products that we supplied that got destroyed the people's home, they were like, oh, well, we told ourselves that we can't do this. And there are brilliant guys around us that had exceptional skills. We could not pay them to work for us. We were like, oh, look at this thing we are building. Can you share in this vision? And they were like, this is nice. And they put in their blood and sweat. There's one thing I've understood about Indigo is that people are passionate. It is very difficult to break through that barrier of working with ourselves. But once you can succeed by making somebody, your friend, your classmate, to trust you and put that money in your business or put his brain or your time in that business, there is nothing that can work better than that. So partnership will start in your classroom, it will go to the university administration, it will go to where you are going to party. As you are doing, as the birthday enter body, you shake one guy and say, guy, how far? I like this thing you are doing, let's meet outside the club. Stuff like that. So all these stuff are partnership. It's not just here, but sometimes they say, there's this popular saying, wait till they find for Sokoto Day for where? Exactly. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr.
I had one start in 2018. Our first client was a hotel. We approached the hotel and we said, we're going to work on your website. By the way, I started with my colleague in school, final year. And the idea was, since we are studying computer science, let's make money out of this. I remember some of the students, some of the teachers telling us, oh, after BSc, go on with your masters, after masters, do your PhD. But we're like, nah, let's make money from the one we've studied first before going to the next. So we approached the hotel. And we said, we're going to do your website. It's a popular hotel in Enugu here. And the challenge they were having then is that they hired someone who did a job for them at 80,000 naira. And when customers make payment on that site, if you're supposed to pay 200 naira, it will deduct 20 naira. That's one. 2, there was also a normal thing among web developers and designers in Enugu. When they are done with your job, they hold back certain credentials so that you can always call them. That's the way they hold the customers to ransom. Then 3, this guy couldn't support them. You did a job for a client in Enugu, you reside in Lagos, and when they call you, you say you are busy. So they already had issues. And when we came, we weren't aware of this. So they asked us for an invoice, and our invoice was 800,000 naira. So you can see the difference between 80 and 800. And the owner's rep looked at the invoice and said, he will get back to us. We are already familiar with that statement. So we just ignored them and went home. A week later, they called us and they said, you needed to review your price. We want this site, but we are not sure you are going to deliver. So what we did was, we built a simple prototype, a simple landing page for them. We gave it to them, And they were happy about that. Now, it comes to the invoice. We can either start negotiating, pay 800, pay 600, or we take a different approach. So we took the ShopRite style. The same way I and my colleague usually call it the ShopRite style. You know, when you go to ShopRite, you pick an item and then you add it to cart and then you check out. Anyone you can't afford, you remove it from the cart, right? So we broke down our invoice that way. We said, hey, see, you need a website, but it's tied to the hosting. So you have to pick 1 and 2. Search engine optimization is optional. Marketing is optional. But if you're going to pick marketing, SEO has to be done. So we all broke it down like that and we said, fine, do your picking. And they were the one asking us to guide them on the picking too. At the end of the picking, we arrived at 630,000. And then they paid us in bits. You release the landing page, we pay 30%. You release the booking engine, another 30%. You put up the payment gateway, final payment. No, another 30%. The last percentage was on support. And when we did that, they were the ones that connected us to a whole lot of other hotels in Enugu. And that was where our first income came from. What am I trying to draw from this story? A lot of people might have gone ahead of you to create mistrust in your line of business, whether as a project manager, as a web designer, as a software engineer, and all of that. And you need to go through this barrier. And you can't say, hey, if you don't pay me, I would not proceed. You have to prove your worth. On the other side, the government side, bureaucracy. Usually when you show up, it's all about interest, right? And most times we say, I don't want to mess with all of this government thing. They are thieves, they are criminals, but that is not the case. You have to prove your worth. Those barriers are necessary for you to shine. It also gives you strength to look at things from a different perspective. In one government organization, they had things to do, and we all submitted our proposals. Luckily, we were selected as part of those who submitted for the tender. And when everybody was busy stating, this is how much they are going to do this is the connection they have, these are the jobs they've done, they mentioning big clients and all of that. When it came to our turn, we simply said, this is how this is going to be. We will do all of this for free. It's software. It's just brain and maths. It's not that easy though, but it's worth it. We're going to do it for free. We're going to place it on the table. And if you find it is okay, fine, you can pay us. Most times government may make the mistake of thinking the cheapest is equal to the best quality. But doing the proof of concepts gets you into the room. And from there, you can do a whole lot of things. So in terms of bureaucracy, a proof of concept helps you to prove yourself. So mistrust and bureaucracy are most of the challenges we faced over time in terms of partnership. And this is how we've navigated through them. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So what I learned from your input is that as individuals, no matter the narrative that is being pushed out there, you have to have your own personal integrity to deliver on the agreed terms, right? So young people in this space, please, you have to build a level of integrity that you're worth being invested on. If people don't believe that you can do this thing, and if you know you cannot deliver, please set out clear timelines and make every concept note agreeable between you and your clients. I hope you get that. So we move to the next panelist, emerging tech guys.
Okay, you said it's interesting, so I'm trying not to dash your hope and your trust that I can do justice to it. What advice can I give to emerging? I think I would say it's simple. You're seeking to build partnerships. Go ahead and build partners. I mean, it's as simple as that, right? But I think you should do your due diligence. First and foremost, establish a lot of people want to do partnerships without thinking about the other party. So a lot of times they think about partnership from what it gets, what it benefits, right? For it to be partnership, you have to make sure that you understand what you're offering, what's the value proposition, what's the value exchange, right? And you have to communicate it, because the other problem that people have is assuming that the other parties understand the value proposition, right? So what I mean is, I've seen people send message to me and say, Mr. Uche, want to partner with Startup South? And I say, okay, that's fine. We're happy to partner. All right? So what are you offering? What's on the table? So, they start telling me what they want to get. Okay? So it's okay to tell me what you want to get, because what you're then doing is you want me to then figure out what I want to get. I didn't initiate the partnership, you did. So by all means, assume that the other partners or potential partners are lazy and cannot think of what they want. So which means you should have done your research. How did you even come about picking them as a potential partner in the first instance? You have to be able to find out what do they stand to get by doing this, okay? And make it visible to them by articulating it, all right? So don't just write a proposal and tell me what you want to get, because what they typically do is you tell them, this is what we want to do, this is the objective, right? This is the objective, and this is what we want to get. So what about me that you're sending it to? What do you think I stand to get from it? And those things that you think I stand to get from it, do they really align with my objectives, with my own objective? Have you thought about it? And so that's usually what happens. So a lot of times when you send that kind of messages to people, there are two things that would happen. One is they ignore you, all right? Very rarely, they would ask you for clarification. And that's usually when they think, maybe they'll ask you, they'll ask you for clarification, but I can bet you that a lot of times they will ignore you, because a lot of people are busy, all right? They are pursuing things. So please be strategic when you are looking to initiate partnership conversations. Make sure that you are explicitly state what you want and what these other people can benefit. I hope that's simple enough.
Thank you so much, Mr. Uche. Please, if you didn't get him, he said that when you are going to meet any organization, be it an individual, for a partnership agreement, you should also propose the value that partner is going to derive from giving you value to. So you shouldn't be always going to take. In today's world, we see a lot of young persons always looking out for how I can get. What do you have to give? So most times we ask ourselves, we tell ourselves, nobody is supporting me, nobody is helping me, I want to grow, nobody is buying my idea. Is your idea offering value to the people you want to get value from? So after today, I want us to go back and look at our workbook. Let me strategize and see how we can come up with values that can help us thrive and do more partnerships and collaborations to help drive our ideas into reality. Please, a round of applause for Mr. Uche Aniche. So I'm going to ask almost my last question, so because we have about 10 minutes more to sit on this panel, and I hope we are getting value from this session. Please, if you are getting value from this session, can I see you wave your hands? If you are getting value from this session, can I hear you say ETF 2025? Thank you so much. It's supposed to be an interactive session, and we move to the next question for Mr. Aaron Esume. Mr. Aaron, missing middle between prototypes and mass production. What's the most surprising bottleneck you've discovered in scaling hardware?
Projects, Abi. Most of these projects, are they building something or not? Most of these things they are building, do you ever see them in the markets to buy? That is where the gap is. When we have all these wonderful designs being designed by students, and there is no way for them to take this stuff to the market, then there is something missing in the middle. A lot of people attribute that thing missing in the middle to funding. I don't have enough money to do this, I don't have the money to do that. But there's something we always ask. Every time a startup or somebody just starting that's a prototype level says, I don't have money, the money is usually used for one thing or the other. Who can say what is one of the most, like, what's one of the highest use case that you think that money will be for? To chop food. Because hardware is capital intensive. So when you are building something, unlike software, if you are writing a code and you simulate, sure you just get error, and you start debugging on your laptop, right? If it's hardware, something will burn, something will blow, something will get damaged, something will physically get spoiled that costs money. How does the person get the money to continue? Most of us then, our pocket money is to finish based on how God wants it to finish. So if you are building something and you have pocket money of 10,000 and you buy materials of 10,000, you can just finish soldering everything. And then as you want to press on, you first do like this. When you press on, back, you just hear one spark. And 10,000 naira pocket money has gone like that. Now the next thing is that, who do you borrow from? I used to be very good friends with everybody in my lodge. Because I'm always looking for sweet gist, especially when you are cooking. Because when you are cooking and I come and start sweet gist, sweet means when the food is ready, I will have something to eat because I bought the one I'm saving. So that capital is important. And how were we able to survive with it? And it was basically through partnership. Every time a startup says they need money, it's because of one funding need or the other. From what to eat, to what to use to buy raw materials, to how they can pay more experienced engineers to assist them in what they are doing. It's how they can pay guys that are doing CAD, doing inventor, people that can set up their demo, people that can do casings for them. All these stuff are the things they actually need money for. So when they say, I need money, this is what they need money for. So we thought of, how is it that, because in Growing Greenage, which is a hardware startup, and we manufacture solar equipment, and it's also basically building solar equipment by also investing a lot in technology and infrastructure. We've discovered that a lot of our machines, a lot of our processes, a lot of our tools, a lot of our components can be used for any other power electronic design. So we're like, okay, instead of you going to say you are looking for money, come to us, use our machines. Come to us, use our tools. If you have a question, ask our engineer. If you need one or two things, come and we'll put in the right direction. And we've discovered that a lot of startups with only this alone have discovered that they don't even need money. All they need is somebody to hold their hand, somebody to tell them that this mistake you are making now, everybody made it. In fact, your own is even better. You have somebody to rely on and tell that you are making a mistake. So we discovered that this is the middle gap. The other things are things that are normal to everybody. Things like infrastructure. There is no infrastructure around hardware. If you wake up now and say you want to design, you want to build a phone. Let's say you are a student and say my final year project is going to be building a phone that is better than Samsung. You are going to have the first issue. How do I do the casing of the phone? You think it's basic doing the casing of something. Till you take your car to the local panel-beater and tell them, this is how it was when I bought it and I have an accident now. I want it to go back to how it was when I bought it. And you discover that that becomes a very big issue. So doing the casing from the phone, to doing the printed circuit boards, to where you can buy original chips and the rest, this becomes very complicated for a lot of these businesses. So we're able to help these startups, also helping ourselves, because a lot of times the design that these guys do is what we can also use in our own product. So I think that's how, and also something very key. Somebody passed here just now, his name is Ezra. He's one of the leads in the local organizing committee that is organizing what you're having here, and he's the MD of Genesis Tech Hub. Genesis were the people that gave us our first investment in the 2019 Genesis Ignite. And as at then, the investment they made in us was 15,000 USD. You know, 2019, if they give you 15,000 USD, you are a big boy. You are living large. And there, as a company, I think the CEO of Tennessee spoke the other day, Sake. And they've decided that they are not just going to be doing their business, they are also going to, through a foundation, invest in businesses that are in Enugu. So these are things that other people could do to also bridge that gap, because it's based on their funding that, and also in addition to other angel investors that were able to buy the raw materials we need, the machines that we need. And I think this is how we can bridge the gap. And one final thing about bridging the gap is everybody should have a strength. If you are growing up and your father is a panel-beater, make sure that nobody will go and look for who can design an enclosure outside apart from you. If as you are growing up, your mom has a very big shop, make sure if anybody is talking about e-commerce,